that person can face the consequence of those sections and the penalty. With the kind of stature which he has or the position he has, today this kind of advice if he gives that you file declaration and nothing would happen with that. And tomorrow some shareholder finds from the, because information will be available in public domain, in ROC office, in stock exchanges at one point in time. He was a promoter and you have violated this section that he was a promoter and you have filed a false declaration knowing that you did the false declaration. What is the consequence? 447, 448? So, I mean, this is the context I wanted to highlight throughout my presentation. Transparency, disclosure, truthful statements, certification, internal checks and controls to protect yourself also as an advisor or an office bearer of the company will be order of the day. Process driven, system driven advisory will be of importance rather than off the cuff and unstructured and unorganized advisory, because it can lend you, anybody can be in trouble under these provisions, penal provisions which are very harsh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay Bhai, for a very lucid presentation. I think the subject was very dry, but I think the manner in which you presented your topic speaks volume of your authority of the subject. Friends, he has actually, the topic is such small, so he has finished it before time. So we have some time, so if you have any questions generally on his subject or some other topic of subject, Sanjay Bhai, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we have still time, 15 minutes time before the break. So any questions, welcome. Yeah.
Is there any penalty reviewable for not meeting the CSR?
134 directly does not give you penalty, but there are two views again. In 134(7) also there is a provision that can make you liable, but you are right, there is no direct penal consequence, because the department never wanted to impose this. But there were, if you remember, the amendments which came in were opposed by the industry also, and thereafter dilutions were made, shall made and may was inserted. So if you read 134(7), I'll just highlight that. We all have to unlearn and relearn all this new act and new provisions. So in the 134's context, in the financial statement and board report, one of the items is that you have to make disclosure on CSR. (5) proviso says that if the company fails to spend such amount, the board shall in its report made under clause O of subsection 3 of 134 specify the reasons for not spending the money. So under 135 there is no penalty, but under 134 there is a penalty for not justifying, not making justifiable reasons as to why the money was not spent. So here, the director's responsibility statement as well as the board statement in O, if you see, the details about the policy developed and implemented by the company on corporate social responsibilities and initiatives taken during the year. So if you make a statement which is justifiable statement and acceptable statement, no penalty should arise. But if you happen to make some statement which is not a tenable statement, obviously there could be a a case made out which says that, you have not paid a truthful statement. Though you are capable of spending money, you have profitability and everything, but you have deliberately not made certain contributions for reasons best known to you. So a case may be made out under 134, not under 130.
With the general penalty, there were no specific penalties applicable. General penalty provision is not.
Should have. General provision still up. Specific penalty is not covered.
General will apply or
Apply, they will apply. But the intent, and to see the background of this, when this was made, to see the reports and all, industry was opposing tooth and nail. And at that time they were saying that don't make it mandatory, make it directly and self-governed process, so everybody will fall in line. That point in time there was, the word used was shall, and then they used the may, and then they provided some limits. All those things were done before this finally came into shape. The objective was that the industry never wanted a penal provision or a mandatory provision. This is initially done with the objective that companies will comply, because auditors will otherwise qualify, or under 134 the report will not be made and justification will not be provided. So there is a possibility that the penal provision will be invoked, general penal provisions will be invoked, because there is no specific penalty.
Yeah. Whether the offence can be tried under section 447 or 448 as well as under IPC to simultaneously.
No, it says that notwithstanding anything contained in the other law. So principles apply. Principles of the division of the subject matter is the same. And law specifically provides for a remedy under that particular law. The general action will not do it, so that can be then thrown out of the law. Because the other side is going to say that you can't have two parallel actions and waste board's time on separate occasions. There under IPC, the focus is more on criminal jurisprudence where individuals are sought to be penalized. Here the focus is not only on individuals but also on the company as a juridical person to be penalized for the wrongful acts and the officers of the company. So that action will not survive because there is a special remedy provided under this.
In any case, one cannot be penalized on
Twice for the same offence.
For the same offence.
No, but in income tax, whenever the prosecution, there is simultaneous prosecution that there are new code also. Only thing that less to the sentence is given. Both the sentences were concurrent, not separate.
But in this act, they have been taken care of.
They are excluded because they are excluded and no the law will apply.
That action will not survive. That action will not survive. There is a special provision and special court and tribunal have been given special powers overriding the powers under CRPC.
I'm just saying, government power separate. We are talking about the power special code, non-prosecution. Okay. So, special code doesn't mean that you can level grant prosecution and only the company level. You try, companies are offenses. As far you have no power to level prosecution as such. Right?
On the complaint of inspectors and on the complaint of department, they can launch prosecution. They have the powers.
Most of these penalties are automatic, or is there any distinction in reasonable cause?
No. Prescribed penalties are automatic.
What are the penalties and prosecution applicable to the independent director? So they are not operating day-to-day management, and anything happens to the company, how do they protect it?
So 149.12, if you see, 149.12 gives that comfort to the independent director. Notwithstanding anything contained in this act, an independent director, a non-executive director not being promoter, key managerial personnel, shall be held liable only in respect of such acts or omissions or commissions by a company which had occurred with his knowledge, attributable to board processes, as in the officers in default I said, if you don't express the dissent, So it covers here that if the offence is committed with the knowledge of the independent director to board processes and with his consent or connivance where he had not acted diligently. Only in those cases he will be held liable. Otherwise, he cannot be held liable under section 149. And it is an overriding section which says notwithstanding anything contained in the act.
We have to declare the dissent.
If he has acted bona fide, if he has acted in in the rightful manner, and he is not conniving with the officer of the company to pass certain resolution, which he, actually speaking, if he is truly independent, he will not agree. If he is not independent, he will agree and go by what promoters and management will say. But if he is truly agree, his conscience is not allowed to pass without dissent. So that is the objective which is being sought here. Besides that, the code of conduct which is prescribed, which is such a stringent code of conduct in Schedule 4. I don't know whether you had an occasion and chance to go through that code of conduct, but all, as I was saying in the beginning, moral duties are now prescribed in the code of conduct. That he shall act in fiduciary capacity, he shall not do certain actions which are fraudulent. All those duties have been now provided in the code, and that code needs to be adopted while you issue it a letter of appointment of the independent director, that he will agree and abide by the code.
Sir, first of all, thank you very much for the lovely insight on the penalty. One question is, I see a lot of penalties are more on the directors or KMP. Are there any penalties, huge penalties on the company or what? On the company?
Monetary penalties, as I highlighted in some part of my slide, where you can see, officer in default in company, several places they have used. So
Then-
penalty can be imposed against the company.
In the company, sir. Now, the Companies Act, the purpose is basically equitable and fair justice to the public shareholder. Now, when penalties are leveled on the company, isn't that wasteful utilization of resources, which also means a loss for the public shareholder?
Therefore, this acts as a deterrent. It acts as a sufficient deterrent so that companies fall in line and don't violate the law and be part of the system where company and the officers of the company together would deceive, with the intent to deceive the stakeholders, indulge in such corrupt practices. So this acts as a deterrent to the company. Obviously, no company would be wanting to have a heavy penalty to be imposed for violation of the provisions of the law. Because it is, you are rightly saying, it will act as a dent to the shareholders'
Okay.
funds.
Their value has been,
But therefore, like under earlier company that also, here also, the right to file a class action is given. So if shareholders find that it is because of the fault of the company and not of the shareholders but the officers of the company, they can recover damages from the company and the management under class action suit.
from KMP.
Because wrongdoing of the company and the management.
Sure.
That's another remedy which is provided.
Thank you for this. The second question is, what in case it is established that it is the fault of the officers or KMP and they internally are disputing that this is not my fault, this is not my fault, basically blaming staff. In such a case, what would be the resolution so that the shareholders' value is not further dented?
Therefore, I said that in most developed jurisdictions, as we are advancing the country, and IT plays a big role. Technology, use of technology plays a big role in providing and maintaining systems and records and documents in order, and self-certification, internal checks and balances and controls. Every statement which is made by an officer of the company should be backed up by a particular certificate which is on the law. So, all I am trying to say is that you have to exercise due care and diligence before you agree or disagree to certain decisions. And therefore, system-based, process-based procedures, if they are followed with the help of technology, where you can track down any violations or apparent violations or any issues, you will be able to mitigate the risk. Because sometimes it may happen that it may not be done knowingly, it may be unknowingly done, but you may not realize. Classic case is like, in a related party transaction, you don't know who the relative is. Act provides that if a relative of an auditor holds shares worth rupees 1 lakh, auditor is disqualified to be appointed. In larger cases and company, if a relative of a shareholder of an auditor is holding through his wife or anybody shares in the company, technically he is disqualified, he cannot be appointed as an auditor. So how do you track? So thing is, the system-based thing is that now that the company that provides no distinction between private companies, public companies, now the distinction is between one-man company, small company, large company, public company, private company. So you need to have general knowledge of everything, shareholding pattern, who are the relatives, which are the contracts where related parties are involved. So if you have a flowchart and everything, you will be able to control things better in a systemized manner rather than hota hai chalta hai approach.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Sir, you talked about product alert, which is the day to come. But then, how can it be one-sided? The other party, which we do normally, the government, unless there is a code of conduct from that side also, how can there be one-way traffic? That is left to the parliament. You have chosen the government. Your MP should raise this voice in the parliament. Now, coming to the other part, if the things come in a proper way, cannot it will be wise to have, for example, such a heavy penalty, make the people understand and get acquainted and accustomed to this system. Then you go on claiming the penalty. This is not the correct. No, you are right. Therefore, while I was talking, I mentioned this. When the Competition Act came into force in 2000, there was a provision, and if you can see in the Competition Act also, because that act also limits big penalties. You must have seen on NSE, DLF, 300 crore, 400 crore, coal mafia, 300 crore penalty. The day before yesterday, they have Tesco has been penalized for 50 crores. So, anti-competitive behavior. In that act, there is a section called competition advocacy. So, what they did for 5 years, that they spread awareness about the provisions of the act. So, more and more people come to know about the act and the provisions. Similarly, under the Companies Act, I've been told that the department is very open and they are going to give time to themselves as well as stakeholders. And it is not going to be very immediate in nature. They will also go easy, that is what they have said. So there is no provision in this. That powers have been retained. But the inside thing is that they will go easy for 5 years. They will see how the law develops, jurisprudence develops, how people behave, whether this is advantageous, not advantageous. Obviously, therefore, you can see until tribunal and special courts are constituted, nothing can be done. The success and failure of this act depends heavily on tribunal and special court, because enforcement mechanism is in, and the powers given is to tribunal and the special court, which is therefore, I don't know when it will come into play. Till such time, regional director will exercise the power.
Thank you, Mr. Butch, for a detailed presentation and then also replying all the questions of the participants. With this, I request